I'm going to get that one in. But now, we all dream, of course. Well, most of us do. I don't have too many, actually. But, not that I remember anyway. But only some of our dreams, well, do they become a reality? Our next guest is known as a gifted dream and psychic detective whose prophetic dreams are a near-nightly occurrence.
Yeah, in 1984, he came to the attention of Scotland Yard's police department and has had regular contact with them and the National Criminal Intelligence Service ever since. There he's been able to provide them with warnings of serious crimes and terrorist activities in the UK.
Yes, our next guest is described as the Dream Detective. That sounds quite swish, doesn't it? And his name's Chris Robinson. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
So, I mean, yeah, the Dream Detective. Well, we'll chat to you in a minute. I'll introduce you to Anne Winsper, our sofa skeptic for the night. She's not trying to try you to test you out or anything. She just thought to get the balance because you know I love all this stuff, so I'm probably not too biased for doing the interview, really. But I mean, briefly, Anne. I mean, what do you come from? What makes you the expert skeptic? I guess.
My personal background. I'm actually a psychical researcher, so I do field investigations and people report their spontaneous cases to me. I'm from a group called Parascience. We're based on the Wirral. So as part of that, when people report things to us, we have to go out and investigate. So I think of myself as a true skeptic. I look at the evidence, weigh the evidence, and make a decision based on that. So I don't disbelieve everything. But then again, I don't believe everything either. I need the evidence.
So do you go out to try and prove it wrong all the time, or do you, at the back of your brain, thinking, oh, I hope it works out, I hope it really
Well, I can't say that I think, I hope it works, because even the fact of thinking that can influence what happens. But I like to think I just go out with a completely open mind and weigh up the evidence.
Now, Chris, you're known as a dream detective. Tell us what that means.
Well, basically, a policeman called me that a long, long time ago. I started having dreams about terrorist activity in the late 80s. And I was loosely connected with a lot of policemen with other things that I was doing at the time. And I reported to them some of the dreams that I'd had about things that I thought were going to happen. And, of course, what happens is when those things do happen, they take this huge interest in you because they want to know, how did you know? And
so you become a suspect, wouldn't you?
Well, yes, you do. I mean, they've never really wanted to talk about how much of a suspect they treated me. But after a few months of performing highly suspicious predictions, the police and I agreed to do a few little experiments which would help them understand what was actually happening to me and probably also help them convince other people that I wasn't involved in some way with the things that you'd predicted. Mm-hmm. And I think we soon got over the suspicion point of view. One policeman I remember actually said to me, I was sticking up for you this morning in a meeting because you couldn't possibly have travelled to all the places and done all the things that you've predicted. Mm-hmm. And that's the bottom line. You know, if you're predicting things all over the world, and these are sort of pretty nasty, complicated things, one person couldn't have been, responsible. And the way, particularly terrorist criminals operate, they don't tell everybody. It's not chatted over in a pub. Mm-hmm. So it's not the kind of thing that you can overhear either. So if you get accurate information on something really nasty that only a very small group of people conduct, mm-hmm. the act, how else would you get it, basically?
So how does this come to you? Are your dreams of pictures? Is it words, dates? I mean, how does it appear?
Dreams have a variety of ways of presenting information. You have what I call the what you see is what you get dreams. So you are standing on Waterloo Bridge and you see a bus coming across it and the bus blows up. That's one dream that I did have once. Mm-hmm. And, of course, 3 or 4 days later, that did happen. So that's a what you see is what you get dream. There are other dreams which are much more complicated and need a lot more thought to translate the meanings of them. There are also generic symbols, which snow and heavy rain in dreams virtually across the world are warning symbols of danger. People dreaming of teeth falling out, they will suffer a loss. Usually somebody close to them will either become very ill or die.
Unless it's your milk teeth, don't worry.
Well,
you just get money under your pillow, don't worry.
That's right. but you know, these kind of dreams that recur have been reported throughout history across continents. So there are symbolic dreams and there are literal dreams, and they're varying degrees in between.
So if I was to join the sceptic side, go over to the dark side, and say, I suppose on the dream front, thousands of people all over the world could have a dream that a bus is going to blow up, and the chances are the next day it could anyway. I mean, it's just chance, isn't it?
It isn't just chance if it's the same small group of people who are being studied predicting those things. If you had a situation where you addressed everybody in the world and they all fed you back their dreams, so you've got 1 billion dreams and one of them says, I dreamt of a bus blowing up and a bus blew up, yes, I would call that chance too.
The problem is you could have millions of people having the dream about the bus blowing up. Most people don't take notice of their dreams and write them down and remember them.
And I would be scared stiff if I were you, because you'd want to go to bed.
You wouldn't.
You know.
Well, I think it's something that I accepted early on, that this was not in my control. I didn't ask for this to happen, but it was sufficiently interesting for me to continue doing it. And initially, in 1989, I said, I'll give it a year. And what are we in 2007? And I've given it all this year too. So I've been doing it and recording them religiously, if that's the right term, on a nightly basis since 1989, which is, what is that, 18 years.
Those who are sceptical about your dream and psychic ability, what would you say to them?
Well, am I worried if somebody is Jewish? Am I worried if somebody is a Roman Catholic? We all have our own belief systems. My dreaming is no longer a belief system because it's been studied by scientists for the last 18 years, and that studying in depth is growing exponentially. People all over the world now in various university departments are now looking at precogs. Not very far from here in the University of Northampton, they've got a precognition department, and what they're doing is they're showing people on a computer screen randomly generated pictures, and the pictures fall into two categories, either a nice picture or a very nasty picture. And what they're doing is they're measuring, amongst other things, galvanic skin response. So they're connecting them up, and just before they get shown a nasty picture, they see a blip on the screen. Mm-hmm. That clearly indicates that information is coming back from them seeing that picture in a few seconds. They're responding to it prior to seeing it.
Chris, is there anyone else in your family with these abilities, or are you the special
kids.
One?
No, all my kids
really?
report this, yeah. I mean, obviously, I've given it, my total devotion, and my children are not doing that yet. But all of my children, and basically even all of my friends over the last 20-odd years since I've been interested in this, have reported to me at some time or another outrageously coincidental dreams to an event that was going to happen.
Doesn't it scare your children?
Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. One of my daughters and I both had a very nasty dream that her grandfather was going to die in a very nasty way, and it happened on the Sunday, and we had the dreams on the Wednesday and on the Tuesday. And it was so specific that you will never take it away from either of us.
You're not healthy to
that
know.
We had those premonitions. but it was a premonition.
How do you prove that he's not doing it right? He's having a dream. You can't tell whether he's lying or not.
I should say there was a slightly misleading statement. There are an awful lot of scientists across the world looking at this, but there's a very small number who record positive outcomes. An awful lot are recording negative outcomes. There's no effect there whatsoever. And I do actually know the people at Northampton quite well. In fact, one of them is coming out with us tomorrow night on a ghost investigation. And a lot of the stuff is ever so slightly above chance or not significant at all.
Mm.
So now,
but there are explanations for why that is.
And we'll talk about it in more. But I want to, because when we come back from the break, we're going to show you a bit of a trailer of a new film of yours that you're bringing up. We'll talk to that afterwards. So here on MK Tonight, we'll come back with Chris's film. See you in a minute.